Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6, consists of Arsyaluna Salsabila Irlawan, Humaira Cornelia Nurmayuni, Muhammad Nur Effendi, Muhammad Taufan Almaida, and Yulinda Rahmadina. So today, we are going to talk about work ethics. Based on McDowell, ethics is defined as an internal set of moral codes and rationalities based on written norms or by norms dictated by society. Work ethics is a cultural norm that advocates being personally accountable and responsible for the work that one does and is based on the belief that work has intrinsic value. So, what is work ethics? Work ethics, or also called the Puritan ethics or the Protestant ethics, motivates people to work hard in order to become successful. It originates with the Puritan colonists from England who came to North America in the 16th. The outcome of the religious belief that material success was a sign of God's favor and that those who achieved the success were among God's chosen and would go to heaven. The work ethics is still important, particularly in the middle and upper classes, even though it has lost its religious significance. An outcome of this American work value is materialism, the tendency to be concerned with wealth and possession.
The next explanation will be delivered by me, Muhammad Nur Effendi. So, the work ethic, the basic values related with work ethic are learned and internalized during early family education and school education, and are transformed in beliefs and intrinsic assumption. The concept of work ethic is hard to explain because it involves a hidden part. It depends on the consciousness of individuals, intrinsic motivations, and observable part. At the level of behavior as seen by others, Campbell and Zigward have identified two parts involved the ethical practice, the person and the collective that are negotiating position in a specific context. Like in the picture, there's a work specific ethic. The work ethic as pointed in the figure is determined by the general work ethic values and by job related work ethic. The ethical values learned and practiced in the family and school education, like in the picture, and are indirect influenced by the cultural space and type of ethnic specific values. They have brought some example like the lawyers and the values associated with his profession in the USA, character, competence, and commitment. So next, there's table number 2, valuing work. There are instrumental orientation, bureaucratic orientation, solidaristic orientation. Valuing work. Work is not a centralized issue, but just a means to an end. Work is a centralized issue. Work is associated with group activities. Work is more than just a means to an end. Next, meaning of work. There is a calculative or economic involvement with work, sense of obligation to the work, positive involvement in terms of career structure. And next, there is an ego involvement with work groups rather than with the organization itself. Next, in the table, relation between work and non-work related activities. A clear distinction between work-related and non-work related activities. Primary concern for economic interests as payment and security. Next, a close link between work-related and non-work related activities. And the last, non-work activities are linked to work relationship. So, according to Bunting, cited by Mullins, 2010, according to him, the ethic of work is different and dependent on the choices that the employees can make. Some people in purely paid jobs requiring long hours do not have any choice. For the majority, there is a degree of choice in how hard they work. People make their own choices. If they want to work hard or if they wish to opt out and live the good life, it is up to them.
The American Dream. In the United States, there is a belief that people are rewarded for working, producing, and achieving. Many people believe that there is equality of opportunity that allows anyone to become successful. This belief is illustrated by stories written by a 19th century American novelist, Horatio Alger, who wrote about the American Dream. In his stories, he described poor people who became rich because of their hard work, honesty, and luck. The stories reinforce the idea that all individuals, no matter how poor, were capable of becoming wealthy as long as they were diligent and virtuous. For many Americans, however, Horatio Alger's rags to riches stories do not represent the reality of opportunity. Many poor immigrants who came to the United States in the 19th and 20th centuries were able to rise on the social and economic scales. Today, however, the poor generally do not rise to the middle and upper classes. The American dream is now described as a myth. It is still difficult for several million Americans to get ahead. Rewards and job satisfaction. There are some people, however, who do succeed in raising their economic and social levels. Upward occupational mobility or climbing the ladder are terms that refer to one's advancement in work. Many employees have a succession of jobs that constitute a career. Some business organizations, government agencies, and firms provide employees with the opportunities to progress to higher positions. Promotions, increased responsibility generally bring higher salaries. Rewards for achievement in work are personal as well as financial. There is increased job satisfaction when employees have the opportunity to develop creative and intellectual skills. Gaining recognition from fellow workers, supervisors, and managers gives one a sense of importance and identity in society.
I'm Yulinda Ramadina. Will continue the next material. Workaholics. There are people who are especially attracted to the notion of climbing the ladder so as to increase their status, financial position, and sense of self-worth. In part, as a result of the work ethic, these people are internally driven to work. Not infrequently, foreign visitors have observed that Americans spend an inordinate amount of time working, and as a consequence, Americans have little time for leisure or personal relationships. In American English, a new word has been created to describe people who work compulsively. The word workaholic describes an individual who is as addicted to work as an alcoholic is to liquor. There are conflicting points of view about workaholics. Those concerned with problems of mental stress believe workaholics abuse themselves physically and mentally. Others hold that workaholics are valuable members of society because they are extremely productive. The American culture values achievement, efficiency, and production as workaholic upholds these values. Next is leisure and socializing. Despite the presence of workaholics, there is a growing realization in the United States that excessive work demands can be physically and mentally harmful. Many people have been rebelling against the work ethic. claiming that when a job is so important, personal relationships suffer and relaxation becomes secondary. Consequently, there has been a shift in values, with more emphasis being given to personal relationships and, and non work activities. Leisure time provides opportunities to find personal satisfaction and freedom from the routine of work. Increased leisure time in the United States has not altered the idea that work and play are distinct activities. There is a belief that it is desirable to work hard and play hard, and undesirable to combine the two. In many offices, stores, and factories, socializing among employees is discouraged. An employee under pressure at work often cannot afford to respond to social calls and visits. However, the amount of personal contact on the job depends on the nature of the work. There may be more social interaction between teachers in a school than between scientists doing independent research. Nevertheless, work and play are usually perceived and maintained as separate activities.
Alright, my name is Muhammad Taufan Almaida. So talk about work ethic and policy. Both of them actually are interconnected. But how can be? That's the question. So, work ethic was born from some communities in the same culture. And how to preserve it for the next generation is by making working policy. Not only a policy, but many policies for their instances or for their companies or corporation. And that's how they preserve their work ethic in their culture. Now, talk about relationship between work ethic and policy. In American, there is a hustle culture. So what is hustle culture? So hustle culture is a culture of a strict competition to each worker. So this is about capitalism. Even though they have their leisure time, it is not a real leisure time. Their leisure time is mixed with their working time. So the working time is really flexible for them. And some people, some Americans are still attached with a stigma that they will consider themselves and people will consider themselves as a loser, as a wimp, if they leave their jobs for leisure time with their family. That's quite strict, you know. And working is a great dedication for Americans, for workers from America, from USA. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, people are working each other, they're helping each other. Or in Indonesia, we call this as gotong royong, the power of cooperation. But somehow, this kind of misleading because it is branching into nepotism about the exception for families, which is bad. Sometimes cooperation is good, but not too much. You don't need to do that too much. Let people prove themselves as worthy. And now talk about future trend. Now, collaboration is important than competition. And also there are some trend which is adopted by whether it is from Western countries or Eastern countries, which is about taking their retirement earlier than it should be. And the rest of their life is educate themselves with other things. Which concludes that in the future, working is less important to do. But somehow, work ethics also works as the base for the economic system. You know why? Because it is about human who control the qualities and the quantities, not the machine, not any devices. For example, you have a skill in cooking, in creating some food. Then you have a dream to make some food stall or restaurant. And then you need to find a strategic place to promote your skills for profitable things. And then you have it. Now you are considering about how to promote it very well for the visitors. You consider about the qualities and the quantities. Maybe you consider about the quantities then qualities, maybe the qualities then quantities, or maybe both of them in the same time. In qualities, you have a thought about how to make the place is colorful, really clean and enjoyable. Then you buy some air conditioners, maybe some beautiful and colorful decorations for your restaurant or for your food stall to make it more attractive and enjoyable for your hungry visitors. And talk about the qualities of your food. You consider about the taste, the ingredients, the freshness, and the healthiness of the food itself. And from here you promote your skills to make a good food, a great food for your visitors, so your visitors are satisfied. Now talk about quantities. You consider about how you manage your money to buy some devices, tools, and ingredients of food, and then about how to make your food with some cheap ingredients but still worthy, but still fresh. And with all these combination between the qualities and quantities, it is possible to make your food stall and restaurant become more successful than other restaurants. It is interesting, isn't it?